Welcome to part 3 of my trip around some of the undiscovered or perhaps unknown London theatres, and we're getting further into the iceberg here. And this episode we're in the City of London. All the theatres on this list, with the possible exception of one, are all within walking distance of Blackfriars Station, which is just here. And yeah, let's get into it. So we're actually starting a few paces from where I did the intro, but just across the road, more or less in this area, is where the Blackfriars Theatre was. There was a theatre in Blackfriars for around 80 years, up until 1655. In fact, there were two of them. There's a replica of the Blackfriars Theatre in Virginia, which might not be an accurate replica, but also interestingly, the San Juan Playhouse, which is literally just on the other side of the river, sort of in that direction-ish, that is more or less a replica of the theatre as well. However, in an event which we haven't seen in this series yet, the Mermaid Theatre there you go, that is built more or less on the site of the Blackfriars Theatre, which is really good. I think it's a really interesting fact. But also, the Mermaid Theatre was the first theatre built in the City of London since the 17th century, which I think is also a really cool fact. So, keeping with the theme of friars, we are now visiting the Whitefriars Theatre site. This is quite a quiet little alley. This is Magpie Alley, by the way, if you want to visit it. It's got a lot of history about Fleet Street, walls and all the printing and so on. And in all fairness, the theatre, I think, is probably the most enigmatic out of everything on the list. According to Wikipedia, there you can see the remains of the Whitefriars Priory somewhere in here, but the theatre was more or less in this size, and as was the Priory, actually. But I cannot, for the life of me, find anything around here. There is no evidence at all. Very quick side note, the reason why we don't know that much about Whitefriars Theatre is because it was replaced by the Salisbury Court Theatre, which we'll visit later. Halfway through, crossing from the City of London to Westminster, you know what to do. You join me just looking at Drury Lane here. So basically directly opposite us would have been the entrance, more or less, to Cockpit Alley, where the Cockpit Theatre was. So this was of course, a theatre, and it was originally a cockfighting pit, hence Cockpit, and yeah, it was turned into a theatre, restored and so on, and it later became known as the Phoenix because of that. Now, competition was quite tough for especially the Cockpit, because just down the road, on Drury Lane, just down there, opened the Theatre Royal, and yeah, they couldn't compete with it, basically, and the rest, as they say, is history. And the final theatrical site we're going to be visiting is on Dorset Rise, so we're back in the city, and just the plaque there says site of the Salisbury Court Playhouse, 1659 to 1649. It was closed down by Parliament, but it was actually reopened as Dorset Garden Theatre, I believe. But this is more or less where it stood, so the year ago, I suppose. I mean, it's a bit sad that it's still last year, but we've got a massive building here instead, so is that something? If you're joining me on this trip around the theatres of London that no longer exist, and yeah, it's been a wild ride. It's been really interesting, looking at all the information and researching and so on, and I hope you found this interesting too. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me, and I shall see you again for more random stuff on TikTok. Thank you.